Woo! It is chilly out here. I got gloves on.
You ready today?
I'm ready. I don't have as many layers on as both of you guys. I'm kind of regretting that already.
Yeah,
I got 2 pairs of socks on.
Well, you were making fun of me last time about my big jacket. So I said I'm going to wear a smaller jacket with, smaller layers.
I had to
more
go with
aerodynamic.
The gloves. But, our fashion guru down there is always sharp.
Just in case you have to go out here and play, you got to be stripped down.
No, I am playing. My days have passed, yes.
It is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. Lee Company, all you need to visit them online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical problems that could protect your home, too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. And, boys, feeling good about today's game. Titans are going to win. I can feel it in my bones.
Did you say this last game?
No.
Yes.
The
game before.
And the 2 games.
Yeah. 2 games
you
before.
really was on out.
I covered the spread on the last one. I said take the spread.
Right.
That's how we ended the show.
Which is fair.
Which you did.
In fact, he very distinctly asked us whether the Titans would cover.
Yeah.
As opposed to if the Titans would win.
That was a great question, by the way. Yeah.
That way we didn't have to say that they were going to lose.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling pretty good about this game today.
Okay.
And now, the Jacksonville Jaguars, no Trayvon Walker. That's a pretty big blow to their pass rushing defense and stuff. And I just kind of feel like this Jacksonville Jaguars team, it's a weird team. Like, it seems like it should be good. And their record says that they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're 6th in AFC if it was playoffs.
That's
now today.
Yeah. So everything is telling you that they're pretty good, but I don't know if they're actually good or not. Like, they seem a little fraudulent. At least with the Titans, you know what they are. So, like, this team, though, with Jacksonville.
What are the Titans?
Not good. I guess would be below average to put mid-ass.
No,
I don't know what all.
Mid is we have far surpassed mid.
I would call them almost.
Almost. I would say these last 3 weeks though. These last 3 weeks they've been closer to mid than ass because they have been competitive these last 3 weeks.
So you're saying they're due for a stinker?
I think. Well, no, I think they're due for a win because they're trending upward. They're trending upward.
Oh my!
Maybe falling upward, but they're trending upward.
So we're talking about Cam then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
This team lives and dies by Cam Ward at this point. So, and so far, a lot of death going on around here. But
no,
I will say this: I just feel pretty good about it. What do you make of this Jacksonville Jaguars team, Buck?
Oh, Trevor Lawrence is wildly inconsistent, and I think that's kind of your hang-up, right? He has no business being as up and down at this point in his career. You'd expect him to be able to handle what Liam Cohen is doing with them. Now, their wide receiver situation has been interesting, right? They have been without Brian Thomas Jr. for a couple of weeks now, and he hasn't been very good when he has been in the lineup. He's experienced some drops. There were some questions about effort early on in the season, and obviously no Travis Hunter, who was placed on injured reserve and who, in the absence of Brian Thomas, looked like he was at least trending to be one of their best offensive weapons, and now he's done for the year, so we won't see him today for the opportunity for Alec Iamander to put it on Travis Hunter the way that they did during their collegiate careers. I think the biggest hang-up is Lawrence, right? That and they, to your point about Trayvon Walker not playing in this game, they haven't been very effective pressuring the quarterback all year long anyway. And so anything that would cause them to be less effective in that department plays into the opposition's favor. So we'll see if the Titans can protect Cam Ward today against a pass rush that is not great. But their defense, and this has kind of waned a little bit, their defense propped them up at the early part of the year. The turnovers were crazy that they were able to create and capitalize on, and that's not something that you can bank on from a game-to-game basis, though it did buy them some grace early in the year. So I think there's a reason they look the way that they do, and I think there's reasons why people don't trust them, but at the end of the day, they're still a 7-win football team.
I mean, 7-win football team, obviously, which is, pretty good, kind of compared to what I kind of thought this Jacksonville Jaguars team was going to be. They've been able to win some games they shouldn't have won. They've lost some games that they probably shouldn't have. But either way, you are what your record says you are, and they're a 7-win team right now.
Yeah, this team is unpredictable. Let's just say this. They played Arizona, won in overtime, but Lawrence was, 3 interceptions, I think, and was part of another turnover, I guess a fumble. So, and they still won.
Right.
And that there tells me they have some form of resiliency. You could talk about Arizona if you want to, but that is our one victory, and they handed it to us, and we took it, by the way.
Sure.
Right.
And they did the same thing there. So I think this game is all predicated on Trevor Lawrence if he turns the ball over or not. If they don't turn the ball over, they have a great shot of winning. If they do, then the Titans have a great shot of getting their second win. I think it's just that simple.
So, okay, it's cold, it's wet. Last week, we didn't see Cam Ward fumble the ball.
Oh.
We know Cam Ward has had some fumbling issues.
You just jinxed him.
Well, does this create an environment where you could be like, oh, man, this could be it?
I don't know.
This could be a Cam Ward fumbles the ball kind of game.
Well, and it's just it kind of goes back, Blaine, to what we've been talking about for months at this point in time, is that they can't run the football. So he's in a drop back passing game. I don't know, 80% of the time, it feels like. They try to run the football. They are wholly ineffectual doing it at all, whether it be issues with the offensive line. I think it's not fair to Tony Pollard has not been a plus this year, but I think it's unfair to put it all on Tony Pollard instead of the offense collectively. And I don't know. I feel like I'm asking the same questions week after week after week because the team does the same thing week after week after week, and nobody can really get into, other than a lack of execution, why they are so bad running the football. I'm looking at a Chris Johnson jersey out here, one of the few Titans. I'm also looking at a Traylon Burks jersey, which is kind of crazy. Titans legend.
It's the buds right there.
Well, I'm just saying, it's insane to look at a Tennessee Titans football team that cannot run the football to save their life, because this is the franchise of Eddie George and Chris Johnson and Derrick Henry and all these great running backs. Earl Campbell,
Antonio Andrews,
going back to the Titans legend, going back to the Houston Oilers days, and I cannot wrap my head around the idea that this is a franchise that cannot run the football and is 32nd in terms of its success.
I mean, everybody wants to blame Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears and the players, but you're only as good as your surroundings too, and this offensive line is allowing one of the league's worst rates of yards before contact. They're not even getting a yard before they're contacted by a defender, and that comes down to the offensive line and not getting pushed on mainly the left side. The right side has been their best side. 4.7 yards per carry is what they're averaging going over the right tackle. Usually it's run left. It may need to be run right at this point.
Yeah, I remember when Cam Moore was asked the question, what's the identity of the team? He said physicality. And to me, then that starts with the trenches and the run game. You stop the run and you also run the football, at least adequately enough where you're a threat on
they can't do
against the
either.
other end. Yeah. So, and then in this game, defensively, they're going to have to stop the run. Jaguars want to run the football.
Yeah.
If they don't slow this running game down, what's the guy's name? Tutu? What's his name? I don't know his name. Tootin. I would have Tootin.
Did I just say that right?
I think it's Basil, right?
Bayshaw?
I thought it was like Basil.
Oh, is it pronounced Basil?
I'm sure I'm
What's
butchering
his last name?
Tootin.
Yeah. Tootin was up there tootin' all game long, every game I watch.
King Tutankhamun.
And then they bring in Flash Lightning with ETN. Hey, man, Big Jeff and the crew better get ready because they're going to try to run the football. So they need to run the football a little bit more, and they also need to stop the run in this game to be, in the hunt to try to win this game.
And they needed to do that last week, right? Last week they needed to stop the run and cover Jackson Smith and Jigba. But, they needed to stop the run, and they were allowing 6.5 yards, 5.8 yards per carry to the top two running backs over there. And this is a team that wants to attack you offensively, kind of like what Clint Kubiak does with Seattle. And this team didn't have answers for it, whether it's – and it wasn't really that they were gaining all those yards up the middle.
Nah.
They were gaining them around the edges and the corners.
Mm-hmm.
We're not physical in the run game. We're not setting the edge. I think the edge players had probably their worst run-defending game that we've seen from them this year. And you can't do that against this team. Because this team, exactly like you just said, they want to run the football. They don't want the ball in Trevor Lawrence's hand, which seems counterintuitive to a number one overall pick being drafted that you just gave big money to. But they think that the best way to win games is the defense creates turnovers, They stop the run at a high rate, and they run the ball at a high rate, and they do both effectively. And that's the way to do it.
That makes the quarterback's job a lot easier. So I think that's why the philosophy is there. I think a lot of teams kind of take that approach, especially the old school approach. If you have some older coaches on the staff that are the OC or the DC. So I think they understand how to win in this league, and it's not throw it all over the place. And you're trying to say, is Trevor Lawrence really the guy we could put all the pressure on? Because when that happens, I think every time pretty much he's failed, except maybe one season or so. So, I think that helps him, and then that builds his confidence. And then, now he's having some receivers go out here or there. So they got a good tight end, too, by the way.
Yeah,
Britton Strange.
Yeah, so they have some weapons in different phases, and they know how to utilize them. Will the Titans now utilize all their weapons is the key.
And we don't even know if Alec Iamaner's playing. We know they've called up Xavier Strepo, probably as Alec Iamaner insurance, maybe, if he can't go today. But Alec Iamaner, questionable. Those that are already declared out are Jalen Armour-Davis, Kendall Brooks, the safety, Lloyd Cushenberry, the center, is out, so Corey Levin will be in. Shai Tuttle has also been declared out, who's the defensive lineman. And then for the Jaguars, it's Patrick McCarry, their offensive lineman. Trayvon Walker, who we already talked about, their first overall edge rusher pick from a couple of years ago. Eric Murray, safety, and Chuma Edoga, offensive lineman, is also out. So
I think Cushenberry might be out for more than one game.
Yeah,
they're at least preparing for a situation in which Cushenberry might miss a couple of weeks.
Well, I mean, that's why you have Corey Levin, but then you start getting into what happens if Kevin Zeitler goes down, or this player goes down, or this player goes down.
Jackson Slater, baby.
Hey, I'm ready for some Jackson Slater. Lean into the youth movement, I guess. I don't know if Jackson Slater's ready for the NFL quite yet.
He's sure as hell not ready for Myles Garrett.
But, yeah, that's for sure. Well, Dan Moore is the one that's got to worry about Myles Garrett.
I think everybody's got to worry about Myles Garrett.
That's true. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk more about the Jacksonville versus Tennessee Titans. This is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. Lee Company. All you need to visit them online at leecompany.com, and this is 104.5 The Zone.
Okay.
It's the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. Lee Company. Visit them online at leecompany.com. They're all you need. And today's broadcast is brought to you in part by SA Recycling. SA Recycling reminds you to be a good fan. If I can get to it, because my gloves aren't here, so let me start over. Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by SA Recycling. SA Recycling reminds you to be a good fan this game day and look for recycle bins in and around Nissan Stadium. All right. So the Tennessee Titans have covered 3 in a row. Kind of got the same gloves.
Yeah.
Covered 3 in a row.
Rookies, you got to have the ones that you can use your phone with.
I know.
Well,
See,
I
you
can
use
over
your
here,
phone
but
or your
it's the
computer.
laptop. I can use
Yeah.
the phone, but not the
Yeah,
laptop.
the nice gloves, man. The leather, you can't go through, man.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
got to be able to do it.
Yeah.
It was bad.
We weren't as smart as Buck, man.
Yeah. So the last 3. Last week, it was a 12-point spread they covered by within 6 points. Only lost by 6.
Yeah.
Previously, it was a 5-point spread against Houston. They lost by 3. 9.5-point spread against the Chargers. Lost by 7. Of course, they lost all 3 of those games, obviously, all at home. But that is a sign of a team that's at least being a little bit more competitive than what Vegas thinks. Because at the beginning of the year, they were 5.5-point underdogs, but they lost by 14. 6-point underdogs lost by 21. 7-point underdogs lost by 26.
No, they were regularly getting their asses
so
kicked.
they were getting their butt kicked. So is that a sign that at least saying, hey, it's an abysmal season in the record column, but they are showing competitive nature each and every time they go out there and play?
Well, I think they've been competitive before. I just think they've gotten better.
Yeah.
So when they understand what they need to do as individual players to be successful and what they can and can't do. To me, that's what this is all about with Cam Ward. And coaching, by the way. After the bye week, Cam Ward, in the way they approach offense, there are times where he is forced to throw the short throw because that's what the offense is called. So he's forced to get rid of the ball. And the opponents they're playing, they don't want to have their offensive line, giving up a lot of sacks and pressure. So I think he's getting rid of the ball quick, and I think he's understanding he can't hold on to the ball as much as he did in college to try to make a play. Let's be patient. Take what the defense gives you, and I think now he's kind of buying into to have success. That's just the way I'm going to have to do, at least as of this year, with the team that's around him. And, I think he's embracing it now. Or is it maybe the coaching? Maybe they're coaching him a little bit different. Maybe Bo Hardiger, maybe somebody's getting in his ear a little bit more. Maybe they're being a little tougher on him, or maybe he's just doing it in the game. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room or in the meetings, but that's what it seems like to me when I watch him.
Well, we've heard them talk about that they were kind of forcing him to take the stuff underneath in practice. Now, obviously, an air yards per attempt, here's a little stat for you, that kind of displays aggressiveness, right? How far down the field are you throwing it? It's gone down considerably since Mike McCoy has taken over, which means you're a less aggressive offense through the air, but they have been better because of that. And he's still been able to take his deep shots. He's been able to throw his seam shots and his wild throws, but he's kind of learning the game. Is that what you're feeling, Buck? Is like he's learning how to be an efficient quarterback?
I've seen him play with better pace, I guess would be the way to describe it. He looked as close to the player that we saw in college this past week as I think he has at any point in the pros. I think the other thing in this, just talking to the coaches this week, in particular Hardigree, I guess Bo showed him a couple of cut-ups of Mahomes and the way that he scrambles to try and help, kick him into gear in terms of taking advantage of some rushing lanes that might be there when the defense sinks back. And, in the last 2 games, he's run for more yards than he had in the previous 9.
Yeah.
Which is allowing.
Rusher on the team each game, too, by the way.
Well,
best part of the run game.
Blaine, I'm trying to be nice. I'm saying something nice about something Cam Ward's doing instead of how bad their run game sucks. I'm trying.
Okay, my bad.
But yeah, he's the leading rusher, which is a problem in and of itself. Right. But that he is like their third down percentage has gone up by about 10, which is solid. They're sustaining drives as a result. It's making defenses have to account for Cam Ward in the offense as opposed to just defending 10. Where Cam Ward's just a sitting duck back there most of the time or running around trying to extend plays, and then, he can run himself into additional sacks or hold the ball or all the other problems that we were talking about. So to Blaine's point, I do think that he is improving and that they are improving as a result. Will it be enough to get a win? I think, honestly, I know Titans fans are mostly, at least, I don't know, a lot of the ones that we deal with. I don't know if it's a majority or not. It feels like they got the best case scenario last week where you got arguably Cam Ward's best four-quarter performance in a close loss that keeps you on track for the best possible draft capital at the end of the year. So I don't think that Titans fans or a majority are saying, no, I'd rather them lose games for draft picks at this point in time. I think today, if you're a Titans fan, you'd like to see Cam Ward's progress paid off with a win. Like, build this thing up, stack these performances. All right, solid, not great against Houston in a loss. Better in a loss against the Seahawks, but a four-quarter consistent performance where you showed that you belong at this level. Now capitalize today against a team that's, they're okay, the Jags. They're not great. They're a winning football team, but you can find ways to beat them. Teams have found ways to put the Jags in disadvantageous situations. Can you do that today and see Cam Ward's progress paid off with actual success? I know 2 wins are not going to help you with your draft picks or whatever, but at a certain point, this guy needs to win a football game. And like a meaningful football game, a divisional football game. Blaine, we are almost 400 days removed from their last win at home. He has to win at home to give people something to believe in.
Right. And, it's funny you say that. This is the player in me. You say he, like he's the only one on the team. like, first and foremost, last week, just imagine if the defense just held pat and JSN only had maybe 80, 90 yards.
Instead of the 9th best single-game performance a receiver has had in the Titans era.
What I'm getting at is, is he can't do it by himself because that's then undue pressure that he puts on himself. Then you have no chance because you're not going to lose. It's the talent around him. All he can do is continue to improve. And if it plays out, you win. You think he doesn't want to win? He's a competitor now. You see that every game. Sometimes to a fault.
He hates the moral victory stuff.
Right, yeah.
Hates it.
Yeah, so I think, he tried. Can he continue to elevate the offense with the style of play that is effective in the National Football League with the components that he has? And that is the question that he has to fight with. Not can they win games. Yeah, he hopes at the end that it's all over and then they win a game, but he can only do so much. So, I mean, it's a team game and you can never win it. Quarterback gets all the glory and, the wins and the losses, but at the same time, he can only do so much. So, if he can just keep on this pace of ticking up, whether you win or lose, I just think that's still a positive. That means he's buying in. And, by the way, I want to ask you guys, especially you, Buck, because you cover the team a lot closer than we do, do you think someone on the offensive staff will be back just because of this growth from Cam Ward with Bo Hardigree or whoever's the one who's sitting down with him, really helping him take, big jumps here after this bye week?
I was thinking about that the other day because Bo Hardigree gets a lot of crap because their offense has been bad.
Or is it McCoy? I don't know.
And he's the play caller. They're all under contract, right? They got contract extensions. So the next coach will have the opportunity to pick and choose, who he would like to stick around. I think if you're going to give Cam Ward credit, he deserves credit absolutely for making progress these last few weeks. But you also have to, and I know it's tough to give the Titans coaching staff any credit whatsoever, but he's not doing this alone, to your point. He is being assisted, and I'm sure it's a confluence of things, right? It's not one thing or the other definitively to why Cam Ward is showing progress, but together they seem to be moving in the right direction. The growth that was cited, or the lack of growth that was cited when they fired Brian Callahan, we are seeing some semblance of that, right? So to the coach's credit, in a year where they don't or deserve much, they should get some credit for that.
How much is it the quarterback's coach, and how much is it Cam Ward's just natural progression as a rookie?
As
and it's hard to separate it, but his part of the natural progression of a rookie player is the support staff. I remember, I think it was Mike Tannenbaum talking about like Malik Willis one summer, and is like everybody forgets the quarterback coach in the process of developing a young quarterback. It's like the offensive coordinator or the head coach. Everybody kind of forgets the quarterback coach, and that's the guy that's been with Cam the most. You see it at practice all summer long. You see it at practice now. Now, obviously, that's grown a little bit because he's now play caller, but he's always been around Cam Ward every step of the way. And I know there's a lot of debate whether or not Bo Hardegree is a good play caller or not. I feel like the lack of run game kind of hinders what you can and can't do and call in certain situations. But that opening drive last week was probably the best opening drive by the Tennessee Titans I've seen in forever.
Yeah,
like the play calling and the sequencing and
his decision making was crisp. I thought he got rid of it at important times when he could. When in previous weeks he might have taken a sack or gotten himself into trouble in those situations. So to your point, you would like to see them again pay it off with a touchdown. They're still the only team in professional football that does not have an opening drive touchdown on the season, the Tennessee Titans. It's a glaring mark that where you've got teams like the Jets and the Saints and all these other bottom dwellers or basement dwellers that are able to pull that off. The Titans have not been able to get up early. I know they kicked a field goal, and points at the end of a drive matters no matter what, but they struggle mightily with capitalizing as far as the scoring goes.
No doubt. And they played
24 points.
They played really good defenses.
Season high, Blaine.
Yeah.
Season high.
They played really good defenses and on top of that. And that's not to excuse what is happening because this is the NFL. You're going to play really good defenses.
The level of competition is always going to be quality.
Right. But at the same time, rookie quarterback, a bunch of rookie pass catchers, an offensive line that could be suspect at more often than not. No running game. I mean, like that. There's a lot stacked up against Cam Ward and this passing offense and Bo Hardegree in this play calling. But to your point, go back to the original question that you asked, Blaine. I think there is some discussion to be had for keeping Bo Hardegree on as quarterback's coach. If they start scoring points at a high rate, Cam Ward looks even better. He may get offensive coordinator considerations elsewhere. He had those last offseason with Chicago.
He interviewed.
So, I mean, he may get that. But
they said, did what with where? Yeah. Okay, we'll hire you.
Yeah, if you're a head coach coming in and you're like, man, Cam Ward likes Bo Hardegree. We saw the progress with Bo Hardegree. You would have to at least consider. It's kind of like considering Denard Wilson or Bones Fossil in my mind. Like Denard Wilson has done an admirable job with less than stellar pieces, to put it nicely. And I think if you got an offensive coach coming in, you may consider Denard Wilson. I think every coach is going to consider keeping Bones Fossil. I think he'd be a crazy man not to want to keep Bones Fossil.
Yeah, if he's not back, I'd be stunned.
But, like, there is consideration.
That would be a mark against the new coach immediately if Bones Fossil is not retained.
But there is consideration to keep Bo Hardegree on as quarterback's coach. Not maybe offensive coordinator if you're the new coach, but quarterback's coach to keep at least one voice the same in Cam Ward's ears. And I know that's going to make a lot of people mad because a lot of people hate Bo Hardegree.
Oh, do they?
Well, that's stupid. Yeah, I mean, people are looking for people to hate. They're pissed about how the football team has performed. Yeah. It's the easiest thing to do is find one face or one name to pin the blame on and be like, no, it's that guy's fault. Get rid of that guy, right?
It's like J.C. Latham getting a lot of heat these last few weeks, even though he's played well. and like, penalties aside, it was what I'm saying. His play actually on the field has been fine. But, like, everybody wants to blame J.C. Latham. Everybody wants to blame J.C. Latham for Cam Ward bailing on a clean pocket and having to throw 30 yards down to Xavier Estrepo.
You can't blame J.C. Latham when Lloyd Cushenberry gives up 5 pressures.
Right. I mean, Lloyd Cushen. I mean, like, that's another thing. Can Corey Levin provide more stable play than Lloyd Cushenberry? That's not, and then that's not to say that Lloyd Cushenberry isn't recovering from injury or there's context around Lloyd Cushenberry, but maybe Corey Levin is just a healthier version or slightly above version than an 80% Lloyd Cushenberry.
Yeah, well, with this evaluation going on at the end of this season, that will probably determine if Lloyd Cushenberry is back, based on how 11 plays. I mean, no doubt about it. And it's been average at best, even before the injury. So I
think you have to consider moving on from him if a decision
hasn't
already been made.
Buck for that money.
Yeah, because that's now your cash considerations start kicking in too, kind of like with Calvin Ridley. Like Calvin Ridley, you can cut for 10 point. You save $10.7 million in cap space, but you save $21.75 million in cash. And like Lloyd Cushenberry is going to have the pretty high cash hit as well. So saving that cash may be worth it.
I think you just told us the answer, right?
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Well, just quickly to put a bow
on it,
Bo Hardigree, he has to want to stay.
Yeah, sure.
In a role that he's currently in, right? He would have to be in a situation where he would turn down opportunity. Now, he may not get a better offer. Right. We don't know that definitively. But if you're talking about retaining Bo Hardigree would also have to want to stay as exclusively the quarterback's coach because he's not going to be the play caller, one would assume, if a staff changes. And I love the idea of keeping some level of continuity for him because the offense is going to change in some form or fashion. But to what you guys are saying, to at least have somebody who he's familiar with, Cam Ward, who he's comfortable with, and him and Bo seem to have a good rapport that way.
We must not forget, though, whoever they hire and whoever the offensive coordinator is, all these coaches are, hand in lock, and they have their relationships to run their offenses. And sometimes you can be a good coach, and it's just they already have somebody in mind who they want as their quarterback's coach. So that plays into that decision as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it'd be very slim chance that Bo Hardigree is here next year, but I'm not ruling it out.
Right.
And I wouldn't rule it out as a head coaching prospect either because, they may even say in the interview, what are your thoughts on the current staff? Is there anybody that you would keep in the interview? And I'm not saying that's a deciding factor whether or not you hire a coach. Like if the coach comes in and says, hey, these are all, pretty good guys. I respect them, but I got my own guys. I mean, I'm not going to disqualify that guy from, head coaching consideration. But I do feel that I think Bo and a few of these other coaches have made, I think Ty Tolbert's another one. A guy that's been very well respected around the league, has a proven track record. I think what he's been able to get out of this constantly changing receiving core and young receiving core, that's another guy I would consider keeping on.
These players aren't succeeding in a vacuum, right? I think it's easy when the team is 1-10 to be like, oh, the coaching staff. I mean, the coaching staff is objectively awful. The head coach got fired, and they're in a bad situation. But like to say that there has been no impact on Chimere DK by Tyke Tolbert would be ignorant,
right? And I kind of look at that situation. I'm like, yeah, there's some guys that you could talk me into keeping if I was, or at least from the outside looking in, I'd be like, oh, I understand why you kept that guy. Not saying they should, but I understand why. It's kind of like players, right? There are sometimes your players are like, why did this staff keep this player? Like Traylon Burks and the Brian Callahan situation.
Oh God!
Remember how much they played Traylon Burks at the beginning? Well, I don't agree with
for the sake of NWI, and it's like some at a certain point you just want to grab them by the shoulders and be like, no, you idiot!
Yeah.
What are you doing? Everybody else knows this but you, and you're paid infinitely more money to know this. Figure it out.
Well, sometimes,
first overall or first round pick,
Yeah, the politics of that, and then you
watch him, though.
And he had some bad luck. So you want to see if it's really he's not good enough or is it he had bad luck. I mean, as a coach, so you're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. And that's what happens when you're first round pick.
Is he still hurt, by the way?
Numerous opportunities. And who's he with? The
Commanders.
Right, he got hurt, but he had one game he had like 40, 50 yards, and then he got hurt.
He had more receiving yards in that game than he did all of last season here. Unbelievable. Traylon Burks.
That is true, though.
And it was Marcus the Traylon Burks at that
That's
time.
That's right. Titans legends, baby.
It was just the Titans connection.
They had to connect, huh?
Yeah.
Anywhere but here.
Well, they were never on the team together, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will say this, like, I think there's a lot of bright spots on this staff that are showing up now. Like, I think of the bye week really I came out of the bye week thinking maybe they'll tweak some stuff and they'll look different, but I didn't really know until I saw it. And then when they come out of the bye week, they do look different. They do look a little bit more prepared, or at least they understand what's going on in the game plan and all that kind of stuff. And we've just seen natural progression over time. I mean, when you start at the bottom, it's really easy to find the parts where you improved because the bar was so low. Like we talked about, it's on the ground.
You cannot lower the bar.
You cannot lower the bar anymore. Well, but it is still should not take away from the progress we've seen.
Yeah. I think the one thing that is shown out, I think they are now understanding what they actually have. And then once you determine what kind of players you have, then how to utilize them to their strengths. And I think that's what's going on now. I mean, to be honest, and their game plans, at least offensively, how to attack with, having, tackle issues, pressure issues, quick passing game, Cam not holding on to the ball as much long like he does in most games until these last 2 games. Now, he still does it every now and then. He's trying to make a play, but I think it's adequate to live with. That is the perimeter. I think he needs to, in the prism that he needs to look at all the time and be that effective. If he does the exact same thing and just gets a little bit better each and every game before the season's up and then comes into next season and kind of gets better from there, man, I think, and they have a good draft and a good free agency, I think they could be right back in the hunt, at least pushing for a playoff. They're going to be a competitive team, and they'll probably be in the middle of the road, but they'll be very competitive in every game based off the talent they have accumulated and Cam Ward's development. And you got to look at the big picture, and I think a lot of people just look at the now. This season is over, so now you say, what is the development of not only just Cam Ward, but all the young players and how well they can continue to get better. Then that kind of helps you in your direction where you're going for free agency and draft.
Like, can Elikai Manor turn his season around? Can Chimere Dike continue to be more of a threat in the passing game?
Yeah. Well, Alec showed that he can be a 2. Like, in my mind, he's a 3.
Yeah.
Like, but in the league.
Right.
But can he show you that he can be a 2?
Right.
Or is he more an NWI type player?
Which he may be.
Is he more a 3 and then nobody's paying attention to him and then he can be effective every game because nobody does?
Yeah, because it's all about the young guys at this point. And eventually start scoring some points. Like, I mean, we can sit here and talk about Bo Hardigree, the play calling, the improvements that we've seen. You also got to score some points.
Yeah.
And they have had a hard time scoring points.
Yeah. And in DK, is he a 2?
Yeah. He could turn into a 2.
I mean, in the slot.
He's got the speed and the talent to turn into
but is he?
But is he?
Yeah, I don't know, Buck. Do you think he is?
I think he's a promising young player on a very bad football team. Mm-hmm. And I think that any continued progress, as we talk about, that they can make in that department is good. I'm not going to make any definitive statements about Chimere Dike or Cam Ward or any of these guys who just got here.
Because we don't know.
We have no earthly idea, which is why, Blaine, to your point, their season has been over since October. Yeah. I mean, their season was over before it started at this point in time. But like the week by week analysis of these young players, Gunnar Helm, Elikai,
they're all foundational pieces.
Right. I mean, we have after this game, 5 more games left to play. Can Femi Oladejo come back and show anything? Like, there's still an evaluation process. Yeah. Yeah. There's always
Is he coming back? I mean, at some point
there's nothing been definitive. He's not got any kind of brace or cast or boot or anything. He's been walking around. I just see him in a locker room.
Oh, okay. Remind us, all the fans listening, what his injury was.
Yeah, he broke
his ankle.
He broke his fibula.
Yeah, I don't know. His fibula. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
In week 6 against the Raiders.
Okay.
And he has been out, which ironically enough was one of his better days as a young developmental type player. So just to put a bow on it again, it's about the young players moving forward. And frankly, like the guys who are on expiring contracts who you may want back. I like Jihad Ward, and I like Arden Key on a 1-year deal. Like, if you've got a situational role for them that you can supplement it organically with guys through the draft, you are continuing to evaluate everything on this roster.
Would they want to come back on a 1-year deal? Would he, like a player like him, or would he rather go on a 1-year deal on a playoff contending team?
No, I'm certain that he would. I'm certain that they are tired of losing. But at the end of the day, it's about opportunity as much as it is. Are you just going to, Roger McCreary your way through a Super Bowl run? Is he on injured reserve now, Roger McCreary? I believe he is.
They put him on
for the Rams.
Put him on IR.
Yeah, he got hurt, right?
Isn't that crazy?
But yeah, I mean, it's up to the player, obviously, at the end of the day in that free agency situation. But if they're going to offer them opportunities here, and they believe in what Cam Ward is and what the direction is, right? Jeff Simmons has talked about this many times. It's hard to see it sometime through the losses, but at least Jeff is saying publicly that he believes in the direction that they're heading. How much that means, we'll see.
Yeah, the hardest thing for Femi, though, I mean, as much as we were critical of him early, he was starting to come around. I think he was starting to figure it out, and then the injury. So now his process of when he starts developing starts when he gets back on the field. Yeah. It starts right back at the beginning. But just think about Femi, Joseph Day, Sweat, Simmons, and then a first-rounder. Now you start talking, right? The defensive front looks totally different. Like now you're starting to say, they got to be dealt with. Say, now you got to get some corners. I think they've kind of figured out linebacker. They can get by with what they got. But, man, it could be just like that. And that's formidable. You can say what you want to say now, but looking down the road, oh, my bad, let's bring in Key just in case Femi's not ready. Yeah. And then, like a guy like that. Of that ilk. Yeah. Next thing you know, now you got 6, 7 guys. You say, hey, man, these guys are proven players in the NFL. Only guy needs to rise up is continue to develop is Femi.
You can always say that's like a 2 to 3 year rebuild, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah, right. Like we always talk about that. It doesn't have to be. They're kind of setting the expectation low, so that hopefully they can exceed it next year. But it doesn't have to be a 2 to 3 year rebuild. No. Things can change very quickly in the NFL.
There are competent NFL organizations that have one down bad year, like the Rams' worst year after the Super Bowl was 5 wins. That's still not bottoming out, right? They understood what they had to do. They were going to take their lumps, and they turned it around in short order. Now, that also required them to do things like, replace Aaron Donald and all of these different things that they've done throughout the course of their time. But, I mean, there are good organizations that can do this adeptly without having to sink to the bottom for 4 straight years. Right. The way we are now after last week, 10 losses on the season. This is 4 consecutive seasons with double-digit losses. That's unacceptable.
Right. Well, I'm looking at it from the Bergonzi lens because he's the one who did a good job with the draft. I don't know how you guys think about the free agency, but I'm banking on that now he'll get more the elite players because those are the ones that are going to have immediate impact, and he has the foundational pieces already, most of them. See, so that's why I say they can get back there. So can Bergonzi duplicate and maybe be even better in free agency, not just the draft, and then see what happens, especially if you get a boatload of picks.
Yeah, Blaine, if they've hired somebody who can't get it right with back-to-back number 1 overall picks and picking that high at the top of every round, then they hired the wrong guy. We'll see how he does.
We'll see. All right, coming up next, we'll talk more about the young players of this Tennessee Titans team and how they stack up against Jacksonville Jaguars. This is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Yeah. I'm Buck Rising.
All right, it's the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team to tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. All right, Kevin Winston, Marcus Harris, two young defensive backs, I guess I should say, that really showed a lot last week against a pretty efficient Seattle offense.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Harris allowed 0 catches on 3 targets. He also had 2 pass breakups, one of those being almost a pick six. So close to being a pick six.
Dead in his paws.
It was so bad. Kevin Winston's just flying around everywhere.
Bringing the hammer.
I mean, Buck, we'll start with you. What have you seen from Marcus Harris?
Yeah, I mean, he's being thrust into a role that, your average 6th-round pick is probably not going to be overwhelmingly prepared for, but I think he's handled some things well. I think that, they were trying to have him cut his teeth on special teams. He was making some pretty egregious errors there, and he'll still have to play special teams at some point in his career. But I think on the whole, he's had moments where you can get by. Like, I think he's working his way up to where you can essentially line up and play with that player, right? And that's just going to continue to improve, one would think. The more experience that he gets, the more offenses that he sees, the more quarterbacks that he prepares against. And I think I've liked his work ethic. I liked his attitude, the way that he's approached it. And they really have nobody else at this point to throw out there at corner. Their cornerback room is in bad shape with Jalen Armour-Davis now officially. I mean, he's been ruled out since Friday. And they did call up a practice squad corner as well, who I was not familiar with, number 40.
I have no idea.
Crap, his name just escaped me.
Yeah, it's not a name that I think the average Titans fan would recognize unless they were reading all of our tweets from yesterday, with Xavier Restrepo also being a part of the call-up. But yeah, I mean, Marcus Harris has been fine for what he is. He's a developmental type player. He's a player that had some versatility at safety and corner, and they're asking him to do a lot here, so he's doing the best job that he can.
Yeah, I think with the exodus of both of those younger players, McCurry now on IR and my man over there with the Jets, I think he was forced into play. But what is surprising is they never use him in a slot, which I thought he was a slot. I think you did too when we watched his tape there from Cal Berkeley. And now he was forced in with no reps, at least from training camp now. That once the season starts, I don't know what happened there, but I don't know if he was ever practicing in the slot. So for him to come in and kind of do what he's done so far, I think is a little bit surprising. And I think you got to be positive about what the outlook is now. There's other tentacles to that. Can he be part of the run front because they're going to start running at him? And I love to see him blitz. It was kind of the early stages of McCurry when he was there. He was kind of hesitant on some of the blitz. It wasn't a natural fit like, some of those other guys, like, let's say, Finnegan or guys like that of that ilk who are kind of built a little bit different.
Oh, the way that Dean Pease would use Logan Ryan.
Right, Logan Ryan.
Stick his nose right in there.
So
and
most of those
guys
aren't speed guys. Remember, he's supposed to be a speed guy. Remember, 4-3 guys. So most of those guys aren't in the slot, but his height and the way he plays, I thought he fit more the slot. They didn't do that at all in preseason and practice, let alone in games. So for him to be where he's at, you got to tip the cap not only to him, but to the coaching staff. And another draft pick who now continues to develop, now getting playing time, and shows that he's worthy of being out there. The test will still be, how he plays consistently, game in and game out. And then, Winston, everybody knows what he can bring to the table. Now he just has to see everything continue to improve in games. One to me is the deep ball there. You look at things, that was a schemed up play that they isolated a safety and let's put him in a foot race.
And that's why Clint Kubiak's also gets paid a lot of money.
I didn't think he did a bad job.
You talking about the 63-yarder to JSN?
No, the one, the crossing going across the field, not necessarily the one that was the hooker, I think, on hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did another scheme on a deep play. I think it was more like 35 yards across the field. I don't know if it was JSN or not. I think it might have been. So he did a good job of holding.
He had a few of those.
Yeah. So, so I think, he's only going to tick up. His talent speaks for itself. Big hitter right now. That's the easy part for him in this game. bringing the wood. So now you want to see him. I think the only thing I really want to see on him, and, I'm sure he's going to improve on everything, is I want to see him in space. Now, I just saw him in space covering, but I want to see him now in space making open field tackles, because when he's in that free safety spot, now he's back, covering, and if they run and you have to make open field tackles, where are you then? Because the reason why I bring that up is because he's a long-legged, long guy.
Yeah.
So those guys have trouble breaking down and making open field tackles, moving lateral real quick in big spaces, not in short spaces, which when he brings up bring the hammer, that's pretty easy for him. So those are things, other tests you want to see him check mark off, to see if he gets an opportunity to showcase that. And then I want to see him, cover some guys, like Hooker was there. If they motioned the other way, would have been hit Winston on him in the slot.
And he said he was out of position on that play specifically in the locker room after we talked to him. I don't know if he was just trying to be accountable or if that was something
I thought he should have been over the top there. I think there was a dig coming back on the backside, and he's the free safety. You're supposed to continue in your pedal. Don't bite up on the cheese, even though that guy fell down. That's why he did. The cover guy for the Titans fell down, and the guy was running wide open across the middle on a dig. But you must always choose the deeper play and understand matchups. Now, that would have been an open field tackle, so I don't fault him a lot when a guy's running across probably 10 yards away from you wide open, and you think the quarterback is looking at him. But to me, you're supposed to be reading the shoulder tilt, not the head. The head can fool you every time I look over here and throw over and look right back at the last second and throw here. Shoulders tell you where the quarterback is going to throw every time, because if he looks here, shoulders there. If he throws over here, shoulders over here. So that is supposed to be his key read, not the head and the eyes.
Yeah, and for any young defensive player, eye discipline is going to be critical as they continue to work their way through their development. And I don't know if Xavier Woods is going to go today. He was a limited participant all the way through in practice, but I'd like to see him just playing with some Kevin Winston with some additional support, right, to allow him to kind of ease into this as opposed to putting all of it. I know he's an NFL player, right? Denard Wilson is not going to slow play anything for anybody. He's going to be like, all right, here's the defense. This is what we're doing. You're expected to execute. But I'd still, for the sake of Kevin Winston Jr. being able to kind of ease into that role, I'd like to see him with a little more of the pieces that they had at the start of the year.
But to be fair, I just have to say this. 2 young, exciting players, 2 more draft picks.
Yeah.
And we talk about Mike Bergonzi and all that kind of stuff. And, right now, the only draft pick you're really not seeing anything of is Jackson Slater, because he's an offensive lineman they can't find a spot on the field because they paid Kevin Zeitler $10 million. They paid Lloyd Cushenberry $70 million, Peter Skoronski.
Well, when does that not matter now? Because we could talk about Bergonzi and the draft picks, but the free agency is also on him, and the Zeitler has not done well.
Zeitler
I don't care what you say.
Terrible.
Zeitler's been bad.
So when do you start saying, we're going to start easing the young guy here, see what we got? When does that happen?
I would feel like it would need to happen.
You want to collect the checks on the sideline? Or do you not dress him?
Well, the biggest issue to me with Zeitler is, yes, he has been bad. Yes, he is at the end of his career, clearly. And they did the thing that teams get caught on a couple of times, which is he's been good and durable his entire career. All right, he gets here and he's not.
Yeah. Or whatever signs in training camp. Remember, he didn't practice for a lot there.
Yeah.
And even when he did practice in one-on-ones, he was not looking good.
But the other part of this is he is an experienced player who can identify things up front and who can at least try and put himself in a position to succeed, as opposed to Jackson Slater, who hasn't played in NFL games. Now, I know that's kind of counterintuitive to say, well, how is Jackson Slater going to improve if you don't give him opportunities to play in these games? But I don't want a move made up there that would put Cam Ward in a worse situation than he presently is, if he is making progress in the right direction, even if Zeitler has been.
Can you spot play him at offensive lineman? Let's say, hey man, you go out on, give him 2 drives where there's 3 plays.
They were doing that Mickey Mouse crap with the tackles where they were rotating at the start of the year. Sure, why not?
Maybe put Jackson Slater at fullback.
I mean, honestly, for all the Bill Callahan stuff and Bill Callahan has been a very successful NFL coach for the vast majority of his career, but here, I thought that was crap. Just absolute nonsense. That is not professional football.
I will say this, run game was a lot better with Bill Callahan. Was it great?
Yes,
but it was a lot better. So we'll give Bill Callahan credit there.
Give him his
but Corey Levin got some fullback reps these last couple of weeks. Why not give a couple fullback reps to Jackson Slater?
Ooh,
Just
that way
saying.
get some playing time.
Have him running routes.
Watch this. They may be forced to now that Levin starting.
Levin's pissed. It's going to cut into the amount of routes he's allowed to run. Throw me a pass.
All right, coming up next, I got a little stat for you guys that may persuade you to take Titans money line today. We'll talk about that coming up next. This is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff right here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. And today's broadcast is brought to you in part by SA Recycling. SA Recycling reminds you to be a good fan this game day and look for recycle bins in and around Nissan Stadium. Just a couple of college football updates, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
So the meeting for the Ole Miss was supposed to be at 9 a.m. Eastern. So Lane Kiffin was going to meet with the players at 9 a.m. Eastern. That has now been pushed to 1 p.m. Eastern. And they're starting to filter into the stadium or into the Eli Manning Passing Complex to start the meeting here
Everybody
shortly.
say Eli. A lot of people, even though it was me, they said,
just want to say that. Ryan Silverfield has informed the University of Memphis that he's leaving for Arkansas.
Oh, your buddy.
And Auburn is hiring Alex Golesh as its next head coach.
Auburn's hiring Alex Golesh.
Auburn is hiring Alex Golesh, and that's just been announced by Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports. So there you go.
Okay.
So couple of little, we have no clarity. We assume with a large amount of evidence that Lane Kiffin is going to be LSU's head coach. I heard the sticking point this morning is that he is demanding that he finishes the college football playoffs as Ole Miss head coach and not leave, but stays and coaches. What are your thoughts on that, Blaine?
Without signing a new deal or agreeing
he's
to one?
going to sign with LSU, but he's going to stay with Ole Miss through the remainder of the college football playoffs.
That's a tough one there, man.
I'm surprised LSU would let him do that.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's more, I would be surprised if Ole Miss lets him do that because he's going to have further access and time for staff and players and all that kind of stuff.
Ole Miss is having the most successful football season they've ever had. If I'm Ole Miss, I would want him to continue on that and give my program the best opportunity to win as humanly possible. If I'm LSU, I'm like, no, I'm paying you how much money? Get your ass to Baton Rouge and start putting together recruiting classes and coaching staffs and all this kind of stuff. No,
so you can't play both sides. So what do you think is the appropriate thing if you're the AD? You just said the total opposite for LSU. You use both sides of it.
What do you mean? No, I'm saying if I'm Ole Miss's athletic director, I want to let him. It sounds like I want to let him keep coaching. It sounds like they don't want him.
Right. What would be that reason, you think?
Well, I assume it's because he's probably going to take a bunch of people off of his current staff and take them to Baton Rouge.
Right, and then you said LSU people were saying, no, you can't. You have to come here now. See, man, this is a tough call if I'm Ole Miss. If he wants to stay on and coach the entire time, this is a new era. Does that buy you more time? Because guess what? If you know he's leaving, then I want to see LSU report that he is taking the LSU job, but he's going to coach. I want to see that report. And then that hints as the AD of Ole Miss, now that buys me time to go look for my coach, even though I know he's going to leave. So I think that's how I would play it at this point in time. But there has to be a report that he is going to LSU. It can't be that he hasn't signed. It has to be how much he signed for and all of that. If not, then we're sitting here, you're holding us hostage. I don't know what you're going to do.
He's been holding everybody hostage for the better
That's
part
why
of a
I thought
month.
he should have a deadline. I mean, a lot of people thought that. I thought they should because now, guess what? What if they wanted to hire Alex Golesh? See, they got screwed.
Yeah.
See, that's why as an AD, you have to give parameters of time because you're losing out on the good coaches.
Yeah, but Jimmy Sexton doesn't care about the athletic director's time.
No, I know, but we're just looking at it from the AD's perspective.
For sure.
Because guess what? He could lose his job on this hire.
Hell yeah.
So what would you do?
Well, it says here
not what it says. What would you do?
What is reported is that Kiffin is threatening to take the entire offensive staff with him to LSU if he's not allowed to coach.
If he's not
allowed to coach,
he'll just take him out of spite.
Yeah, that's the alleged. Well, that's a very Lane Kiffin.
I kind of love
that matters because usually the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator becomes the head coach until the bowl game or playoffs is over.
And if you're taking the entire offensive staff who's coaching, so it's like, do I call his bluff or do I let him coach? I think I would let him coach. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know that's counterintuitive to how the college football world has traditionally worked.
That's why I said it's a new era.
But it's a new era, and you're 11-1. Why not let? First off, I hate that coaches can leave right up into a bowl game and not coach the bowl game, and they can go and start. And I don't feel like 4 or 5 weeks is really going to kill your recruiting class chances or anything. I think it's all bull crap that's made up by these people that, well, this is how it's always done, so this is how it's always going to be done. But if I'm Ole Miss,
but I do think there should be some structure with coaches and when they can leave, because then we wouldn't be in a situation just like to do with NIL with players.
There's transfer portals and all that kind of stuff.
If we were having this conversation around the Ole Miss quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, as opposed to the coach, people would be killing this kid.
Right, because he's going to go as soon as he leaves. They say he's following where Kiffin goes.
I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
I probably would.
Hell yeah.
But so I think I would let him coach if I was the AD, and if I'm Lane Kiffin, with the reputation that he has kind of had over the years, you know, leaving in the middle of the night and all that kind of stuff, him wanting to stay and finish things, I kind of admire that. I know that he's leaving for a different job and a better job, but he wants to stay and finish what he started.
I don't agree with that part.
You know?
I don't admire. He's doing it for his own self-gratification, how far he can take this university.
No, it's about Lane.
That's what that is. That's
about the
Lane.
ego of Lane being like, I can win it here, and then I'll go and win there.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
But he wants to finish it this year. Like, I mean, for his ego.
For him,
yeah. I mean, for his ego. I'm not saying it's for the team.
As somebody who also traffics in a great deal of ego, I respect the holy hell out of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I got to respect it.
I would then boot him then. He got to go. He got to go, man.
But it's about the kids, Blaine. It's about the kids.
No, that you can't even say that anymore. You can't say that anymore.
Okay.
It's about the kids. It's about him because he wants to see how successful he can be and how far he can take this team.
Well, I agree. I didn't say it's about the kids. I'm saying it's about him.
Oh.
But I agree with him. Like, I agree with that. I will say this. Okay, I think someone brings up a really good point. I can't believe we're talking college football. And
I much prefer this.
Yeah,
but is Ole Miss a playoff team without Lane Kiffin?
Oh, well, that's obviously not. No, I mean,
watch this.
They weren't with them, though. They weren't with them until this year. So don't act like he made it every time.
No. What I'm saying is, shouldn't that play into the committee's selection process? Well, there's no Lane Kiffin.
That's the thing. That's the biggest reason to keep him if you're Ole Miss, because the committee will hurt them in terms of how this plays out if Lane Kiffin is not the coach, even though he's not calling the offensive plays.
No, I would. To me, I wouldn't. I know they probably would, but I wouldn't if I was on the committee.
You wouldn't factor that in?
No, they deserved it based off their regular season.
Gotcha.
So they get in regardless if their coach left or not.
Yeah.
See, just watch this.
What if it meant if Vandy was left out?
If what?
If Vandy was left out, like if you were choosing between
Vandy's getting
Lane
left out
Kiffin,
anyway.
I feel the same way about any team. It has nothing to do with the letters on. That doesn't matter. It's the fact that what if he just left? What if he just left and the staff stayed? Are you? That's
a good point.
Because that's typically what usually happens.
Yeah.
So if you're on the committee, you can't say, "Well, I'm just going to drop them out of the playoffs because their head coach left." Well, they still have some guys there. And, by the way, it's about the kids.
Yeah.
Well, the kids will still be there, at least till the seasons. I mean, after they finish the bowl game, playoffs. So, I would let him. Yeah, I don't know, man. Lane, I'm not in those meetings with him. So, to me, there's probably some part of Ole Miss's AD that he believes he can still get him to stay.
Yeah.
Like, what are they offering him that LSU isn't? Like that, you could say LSU is a better program, but you could still say, if I'm giving you the exact same deal, Lane, you're still going to leave? And if he says yes to that, then you got to let him walk. And you say, hey, man, we got to let you go then. Yeah, we got to move it on because we got to move forward. And you can't hold me hostage. That's one thing as an AD you can't do. Because then that'll fail you because next year now they'll be behind the 8 ball. They already lost out on 2 coaches.
That's true. That is
Two good coaches.
Okay, so the last time the Jaguars had back-to-back road games was earlier this year. It was versus the Raiders, then the Texans on the road.
Oh.
All right?
Uh-oh.
They won in overtime versus the Raiders. Then they go to Houston and lose to Houston, an AFC South team. Last week, they went on the road to Arizona out west, won in overtime, and now they're coming to an AFC South opponent on the road again. And I'm telling you, I think Titans are winning today. I'm pulling anything I can to bring in some positivity, and I think that may be something.
Oh, I don't know about that. I just think this is a winnable game, regardless. It's a coin toss game, but it's all based on Trevor Lawrence. We've talked about it. I mean, if Lawrence plays well, Jags going to probably win. If he throws a couple picks, then they've lost pretty much every game besides the Arizona game.
Yep.
that he's turned the ball over.
Which took to overtime,
Right. So, hey, man, you think the defense is going to cause some turnovers?
I don't know, because we were talking about, no Jalen Armour Davis. You got Darrell Baker Jr. We don't know if it's
Jalen Armour Davis.
But they cut Samuel Womack, right? But we don't know if it's Micah Robinson starting outside. We don't know if it's going to be the newly signed Micah Robinson, the guy from Green Bay they picked up.
He's been here for like 3 weeks. He hadn't played a snap on defense.
I think.
But he's going to have to probably today. Or is it going to be Kyrie Elam, who they just signed?
Is he an outside guy?
Both of them are.
Robinson's
like 6'2" or something.
Kyrie Elam didn't know Denard Wilson's name when we talked to him in the locker room on Wednesday.
Yeah. What did he call him?
He was like, "Oh, is that the DC?" I said, "Yes."
He did just arrive. I was actually surprised he was already available for locker room media availability, because it'd be like it was just like announced that he signed a hour before you guys are talking to him.
It's hard to believe in some guys you haven't seen play yet.
Said, "Welcome to the show, buddy." Come on in.
But it's going to be one of those guys outside, right? Unless they're going to move Marcus Harris outside, which I don't know. That's what they're going to do.
It's just it's numbers. They just don't have. They don't have the guys that they've been typically throwing out there after they've made the trades that they did. So they're going to have to. Marcus Robinson is going to have to play at least.
Maybe it's Micah Robinson.
Robinson.
Micah
Robinson.
Parsons.
If you say so.
Yeah, there you go.
Robinson. I don't know. I don't even know where he went to school. Where'd he go?
Tulane.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He usually typically. I watched him. His numbers was 6 in college. I watched his tape. It just came back to me. Tulane.
7th round pick from the Green Bay Packers.
And I think he's a slot.
Yeah.
See, and if he's playing outside, that's a different animal now. You got to be.
I think they have to have him play outside.
You said he's 6 what?
Yeah, he's 6'1".
Oh, I don't see that on tape.
Yeah.
You may want to look that up.
I'm pretty sure.
Blake said he plays small.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I don't know about that one, man. What's his?
It doesn't matter if they can't get a pass rush on Lawrence.
5'11", 190.
Oh, no.
Told you.
Who am I thinking of there?
See, thank you.
You're just making stuff up.
His number was 6. I see it on your computer.
Trying to make me feel bad. I don't know this guy's name.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, who am I thinking of that was 6'1"?
No, let's correct it.
Wait, I thought 5'10". You're right. You're right.
Slide. I
tried to right.
Elam is definitely 6.
Yeah, but who else would I be thinking of?
Oh, Elam's the guy they just signed.
Yeah, but
he's tall.
I don't know.
He's 6 foot.
That's on me. I got one wrong there.
Yeah.
They got that one.
I watched him on tape.
Right.
He's a slot guy.
Yeah.
And
4.38.
Yeah, he's a decent player, but I haven't seen him in a pro game. But I watched a lot of his college tape when they signed him initially to the practice squad. I actually like what I saw, but I don't think he's not better than Harris.
No, I would say not.
No, he's not as fast. He may be a little more physical, but so he's okay. He's a backup.
Yeah.
I
just
can hire
know.
guys in the slot.
Yeah.
Trust me, I played the slot.
I just wonder who they're going to – I guess they are going to have to start Kyrie Elam outside, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Who else they got?
Nobody.
They may put him out there on the outside just because they have no choice, but
boy,
it's just the attrition at corner is they're in a tough spot.
Golly.
I'm trying to figure.
Other than this guy that got called up from the practice squad, we figured out his name.
I'm gonna get to him real quick.
Yeah, we don't know who's on the team.
Number 40, brother. They rotate.
Kamon Hall from North Texas.
What's his first name?
Kamon.
Yeah, I haven't watched film on him.
He's 5'11".
Kamon.
Yeah, that's.
And then they have a guy named Kedrain Callaghan
on the but he's not called up.
But he's not called up. But Kedrain Callaghan.
Okay, interesting.
Well, he's taller, 6 feet.
These are Madden creative players.
I tell you,
the 5'11" guy, if he has long arms, they're going with this model of it's like recruiting. He has to fit this model. If he has long arms, then maybe he can play outside. Micah, but you never know. Or the Hall guy.
He's got 29.5-inch arms.
If they're active today, they're playing in some form or fashion. So we'll see how they. What kind of miracle Denard Wilson can work.
I don't know, man. Well, Jags.
And now you got Brian Thomas is healthy.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is his first game back in
game back.
3 weeks.
He is fast. He's as fast as CJ. I don't know, man. This guy.
He's going to have to. Can they bracket him? Because they failed to kind of cover Jackson Smith and Jigba. I know. Listen, Parker Washington is no slouch. He's been a good Trevor Lawrence target, and they still got Jacoby Myers as well.
Yeah, who they traded for at the deadline.
Right, so they got 3 pretty good quality wide receivers.
They got that Patrick kid, too, that vet kind of. Yeah, he's all right. He ain't bad.
So,
I don't know.
Our
corner depth there.
Are you talking yourself out of Titans' money line?
Nope.
I don't know.
No,
because they don't throw enough, probably.
Sounds like you're wavering. Sounds like you're wavering.
Are we going to hold Tutu?
Yeah.
That's the whole game.
By Shaw Tootin.
Tootin', man. Tootin' going to be tootin', man. I mean, how long? They going to hold him
That's what worries me the most.
Are they going to hold their run game under 100?
Nobody runs on the Tennessee Titans, right?
They're not going to do it.
No, they're definitely not holding that under 100.
That was Denard Wilson's whole thing this year.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
If let me say this. If they hold the Jacksonville Jaguars to under 100 yards rushing from the running backs, Trevor Lawrence will get his probably here and there. Mm-hmm. But if they hold the running backs to under 100 yards
they
total,
win.
They win.
Yeah.
Easily. Easily. Like, I'm easily picking them to win because, that's the path to victory for the Tennessee Titans to stop the run game and make Trevor Lawrence
they've been able to run
on
pretty much everybody to a certain extent.
Yeah. I mean, they're one of the best rushing teams in the NFL.
Yeah, man.
I'd like to see Sweat play better today.
Yeah.
Sweat's been all right. He's been fine.
Okay.
But I mean, like, he's not been.
I need better.
He's still got to get in a game shape now.
There's very few. There's very few players that I can sit up here and say that they don't need to. We don't need.
Yeah, but if we're talking about young, promising players that you're talking about building around in the first hour, like Tavondre Sweat, get it going.
Yeah. It is. It's time now.
Yeah, it's you've been far enough removed from your original injury to start making some impact plays. You still got Jeffrey Simmons, you still got Sebastian Joseph Day. That's about only the second or third game in a row that they've all been available and all been healthy and playing. And so you now need to see more from Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah, and that's just not just being somewhat of a role player. I'm talking about show flashes.
No, I need main character energy from the former 38th overall pick. Like I need him to go out.
Yeah,
ooh, 38.
That's what I'm saying. He needs to be a certified ass kicker, and he has not been that this year.
He's got to start making some waves. I was actually surprised he had like 2 pressures last week. I don't even remember seeing those. And but at the end of the day, I mean his calling card was always going to be starting out run-stuffing defensive tackle with the upside to turn into something if he got to shape, if he learned some more pass rush moves. But he's always going to be a pocket mover. But we haven't really seen that without having to go back and watch the tape again. Like, you don't feel it in the game, his impact. Now, you may see it when you go back and watch the tape.
Right.
But in the game, we got to see more impact, more tangible, visible impact from Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah.
And this is the game to do it because you need to create pressure up the middle, but you also need to be able to create, lanes for your linebackers to shoot down and stop the run up the middle. If they're going to go up the middle, they may be going to the outside because you want to get these running backs out in space. Yeah. And out in space against Tennessee Titans defense is a scary thing.
Yeah, especially after watching the Seahawks game, film. They may attack the edge a little bit more than they normally do. But, that will be the question everybody will be watching.
Yeah.
The run game. Can we stuff the run? I heard Big Jeff say it, too, in an interview. What they need to do is stop the run.
No, I mean, he knows what they need to do every week. The question is, can they do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that they have not been able to do it. I as much praise as we heap on Denard Wilson for doing stuff with like a makeshift roster, they still have been a bad defense.
Yeah, they haven't been able to. Yeah.
And they haven't been able to stop the pass. They've
been inconsistent up and down with a lot of, backups to no-name guys.
Yeah, but Blaine, this was your whole point about when we were talking about Cam in the first hour, and you said, well, it's not just him, right? They don't. Yeah. The absence of complementary football on any given week, right, where you get another Chimere DK 90-yard punt return touchdown. You get a good enough offensive performance, and then the defense is the thing that lets you down after playing I thought a reasonably decent game against Houston. I know they give up the Nico Collins completion at the end of the game that sets up the game-winning field goal, and everybody calls them dogs for it. But, like, for the most part, the offense could do nothing, and so the defense is being asked to do it for an entire 60 minutes. It's just not feasible in the NFL at that way. So, again, complementary football.
Especially not with a lot of pieces.
No. And so at the end of the day, maybe it's just like they're just not going to get it. Like, it's just not going to be
never going to come together.
A well-rounded performance at any point this year, because either they're not going to get good enough play from one of the three units, or Cam Ward, God forbid, has a terrible game. He's about due for. He hasn't had a bad game in a while. Is this going to be like, all right, Arizona, we think he's making progress. Quarter 4, then he comes out against Vegas and they look dreadful. Like that's just kind of what this season is, and I don't say that to be defeatist, but just realistic.
Yeah, that is. I mean, so if you had to pick a way that Titans would win, what do they have to do, offensively and defensively?
Defensively, they have to stop the run. I mean, and I know
it's the only way to keep themselves in the game.
It's easier said than done, because let me tell you something. This Jacksonville Jaguars team has found it in a lot of third and short situations because they gain so much yards on first and second down via the run game. So you have to be able to slow them down on first downs and second downs, and this team has struggled doing that, this Tennessee Titans defense.
So is that more scheme related?
I think it's just talent. I mean, maybe it's a little bit scheme related because we saw the same issues plague this Tennessee Titans defense last year. But I also think that Denard Wilson, I think, has grown and gotten better and shown ability to adapt. And maybe now, where last year it's a little bit more on the scheme, this year it's a little bit more on the talent.
Players. Gotcha.
And on offense, I want them to run the ball efficiently. But you just have to play mistake-free football.
If they don't turn it over, I think they got a great shot. If Cam continues to tick up the offense, yeah. And watch this. And Restrepo gets 30 yards this game.
We haven't even talked about the X-Man.
Yeah, the X-Man, man. We're not talking about Twitter. X-Man, he's going to get 40. What's the over-under on him? Or did we have?
I'll have to check it during the break. I'll check it during the break.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be placing another anytime touchdown bet.
We can talk about that, and then I'd also like to talk about Mike McCoy. And kind of the approach that they took last week, and whether that's a sign of positive growth for what they're trying to accomplish as a coaching staff, or whether they're kind of putting themselves in disadvantageous situations.
I like it. Let's do it. Let's talk about Mike McCoy, Xavier Estrepo, and more. We'll also get you updated on who's out and who's in as well. We'll get you the list of inactives. This has been the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff, and we'll be right back here on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. Lee Company, all you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. And the Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company, tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. All right, the inactives are in. Let's update you guys on that. Titans inactives versus the Jaguars. Wide receiver Mason Kinsey. Cornerback Jalen Armour-Davis, safety Jarek Reed, safety Kendall Brooks, guard Drew Moss, center Lloyd Cushenberry, defensive tackle Shai Tuttle. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's wide receiver Diami Brown, who they signed in the offseason, free agent from the Commanders. Running back Cody Schrader, defensive end Trayvon Walker, their number 1 overall pick edge rusher from a few years ago. Offensive lineman Chuma Idoga, edge rusher Yasir Abdullah, who's the backup behind Trayvon Walker. Offensive lineman Patrick McCarry, tight end Hunter Long, and defensive tackle Eric Armstead is out. So that's another starter on this Jacksonville Jaguars defense that's out. A role player in Yasir Abdullah. So you got Trayvon Walker and Eric Armstead both out, and that's Tennessee Titans in the trenches have what should be on paper an advantage, but they have to press it. They are going to have to impose their will, something that we have talked about this Tennessee Titans team all offseason and all regular season long, and they have failed to do it. But to your point, you wanted to talk about Mike McCoy. What are your thoughts on Mike McCoy that you wanted to bring up to us?
Well, we were critical of some of the moments where he decided not to go for it on 4th and short. And then, Blaine, you and I talked about this a little bit in the press box. They were much more aggressive on 4th down. They went for it on, I believe, 7 different occasions last week. Mike McCoy, and I'm sure it was at least a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but he was kind of joking up there at the podium with us postgame, be like, I was thinking about you guys when I was going for it on 4th down. It's like, don't even say that out loud, Mike. Come on.
He said that?
Yeah, he was
poking you a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's fine, as is his right. If they were in a lot of situations where they could have opted to be more conservative, and instead they decided to press the issue and continue to extend drives and give Cam Ward an opportunity to try and win a game. They came out with their highest scoring total of the season, and I don't think it's, I think it's situationally specific. We'll see what kind of opportunities present themselves today, but I did like the idea that Mike McCoy at least displayed a willingness to adapt to something. And again, we talked about the personnel changes and things like that. It would be an advantageous day to use, to have a higher utilization of the tight ends. The Jags are allowing, I think it's the 3rd most yards, receiving yards to tight ends in the league right now. It's been a sticking point for them all year long, and we know that Gunnar Helm and Chigakonkwo are 2 of the more reliable targets out there. We'll see if that is an adaptation that plays into today. But I guess, Zach, with you talking about them having an advantage without Armstead, it plays directly into the biggest disadvantage that they have. They are not an overwhelmingly physical unit. They do not impose their will on teams that way. So if they were to do it today, it would be a first. That is not a strength of this team, though.
I definitely true, because it's one of those things like we talk about with this team. Well, we kind of have to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
Like them scoring 24 points. We'd have to see it to believe it. And 7 of those points came off a special teams touchdown.
Right.
Oh, right.
So we can't say it was all on the offense, but we do have to, say, hey, they scored 24 points. We saw it. Can you do it again? Because you're going to have to score 20 points, because since week 8, the Jacksonville Jaguars have averaged about 30 points a game.
What?
Yeah. So they have been in high-scoring affairs. Some of those are losses, some of those are wins, but you may have to score. And right now the over-under for the Tennessee Titans is set at 17.5. And a couple weeks ago we would have said that's probably unattainable. That's probably too high. You would take the under. But at this point, you have to do that. Like, you have to start scoring points if you want to win games. But I do think it all starts with your offensive line getting into a rhythm. And they haven't been an aggressive attacking offensive line. They feel very passive, let the pass rush come to them. But in the run game, they have to be more physical. Man. You don't have Eric Armstead. You don't have Trayvon Walker.
Yeah.
You should be able to get a little bit more push and be a little bit more aggressive in the trenches. But again, to what we just said, I have to see it to believe it because we haven't seen it.
Yeah, they haven't run the football. And also, the Jaguars, they're kind of middle of the road in ranking, I think, somewhere there about maybe 18 or so in different categories on defense. So it's not like they're, they just don't give up a lot of big plays, So it's really hard to say when that's not the strength of the Titans.
Right.
If they're not running the football and they're missing 2 D line, does it really impact the game as much as I want to believe that it does? Like, I want to believe that 2 starters that are good, solid players in this league does matter. So we shall see. Will the mindset be that we're still going to throw the football even in running situations? And I want to say this. I wasn't watching the game as closely the last game. I know they went for it on, like 7 times or so.
5 of 7.
Only time I really disagreed on them is in the Colts game. Other than that, all the rest of them were coin tosses for me because that's why I wouldn't coach. Because I was like, ooh, I don't know if I might have went for it. I might have got fired there.
Blaine, right, wrong, or indifferent, the coaching staff agreed with you.
Yeah.
So
it's just, it's because you got to think about your actual team. Like, just imagine Vrabel's team when we went to the AFC championship or, second round or so. Those teams were already built and they knew what they had and it was easy to say go for it. But just remember, Vrabel said in his first year, we're going for it every time.
Yeah.
Well, that team wasn't as good then. And I was like, you can't say that. You're not going to go for it every time. But he was trying to build the mindset of we are going to attack.
Establish
we're going
to
be
identity.
Right. See, so he was really trying to say that, even though he didn't go for it every 4th down. He said that, though, but they didn't. So I just think we have to play every situation out and see if it's worthy of being critical of the coach going for it on 4th down. Because sometimes there were. There's no doubt about it. It was, especially when you say, what do we have to lose here if we're on the other side of the 50?
Oh, and you converted 71% of them.
Right.
And listen,
that's not going to be every game.
Not every game. And there was a time where he went for it on 4th down. I'm like, man, if they don't get this, he'll never go for another.
Well, it also speaks to how ineffectual they are running the football in short yardage situations that they had that many 4th down opportunities to go for it.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. They were 5 of 7, 71%. One of those was the 21-yard, 4th and 21, which I thought was so wild.
Yeah.
Mike McCoy actually did that.
That's
so crazy.
I don't know
they almost converted. I mean, they were. I mean, for that being that long.
That was Gunnar Helm.
Yeah, Gunnar Helm almost
he hurdled some little guy like me and then just almost got there. He was 5 yards short.
But it was so wild to see because I just never feel like. It was just a complete 180, but I also kind of felt like the team kind of fed off that aggressiveness. We know that Cam Ward's like, well, I'd go for it on every 4th down if it was put the ball in my hand, I would do it. That means that he's a player. That should be his mentality. He shouldn't be scared to go for it on 4th down. But it did seem like the team kind of fed off that vibe a little bit. Even the defense. I don't know if we'll see that same kind of game plan against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know that Dan Campbell and the Lions can get away with it for the most part. They have. Maybe on the Thanksgiving Day game, you could argue that maybe they should have punted it more because this team's not built for that, right? It's not a sustainable way for this team to find success.
Sewell.
Yeah, they don't have Penei Sewell. They don't have half the great offensive linemen that the Lions have. They don't have Amon-Ra St. Brown right now. They don't have a Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, right? They don't have a run game. But I do think in being a little bit more aggressive than you have, at least let's call this game against the Seahawks the outlier.
Yeah, that's the outlier. But
if you're a little bit more aggressive than you were,
40%.
then that can help this team somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will be curious to see how the game plays out and whether that puts them in situations where they can take advantage of something like that. But, I mean, it really is today, assuming that it's going to be the same kind of Titans team that we've watched with an improved version of Cam Ward without a run game, then I really think they're just going to have to find ways to win within the margins. They're going to have to take advantage. They have to take advantage of some of these Trevor Lawrence errors. I think it was Darrell Baker that got turned around last week, had an interception that he could have come down with, and just couldn't make a play on the ball. You cannot let those opportunities literally slip through your fingers today because Lawrence will give you some. So if they get put in situations where they can capitalize on turnovers, take advantage of points off of turnovers, capitalize on short field situations. That is going to be the thing that gives them the best opportunity to win the game. But if it's just like even playing field type stuff and none of those things happen for either side, I'd still take the Jags.
Got to find ways to get the Jacksonville Jaguars in 3rd and long situations. You just have to at this point.
It was Marcus Harris, not Darrell Baker Jr.
Oh, yeah.
I apologize.
But it was, last week we talked about the Seattle Seahawks being pretty bad in 3rd and long situations, but their third down efficiency last week, the Seahawks were 2 for 7, 29%. Tennessee Titans were 6 for 17.
Closer than, what's the spread today?
5.5.
I think they think they're closer than a 5.5 point home underdog against the Jags, and I think there's reason to believe that. I would buy off on that, based on at least based on the last couple of weeks of a sample size. But ultimately, I think what we're talking about here with Mike McCoy is how much has his belief in the offense grown to put him in a position to take advantage of that. I think last week may be evidence that Mike McCoy thinks that they can handle situations like that, so he's more willing to go for it.
And they kind of proved him, right? They proved that they pretty much could more often than not go for it and not crumble in the face of pressure on a 4th down situation.
Yeah, which was, surprising because it seems like, not based off going for it on 4th downs, but based off how things gone where the defense gives up a big play, they don't respond, or they don't get a 3rd and short, then they kind of crumble. So maybe they needed an extra play, and maybe the team is ready to handle that now.
I think we talk about the development, right? Yeah. We talk about the development on the field, but what about the development of the mentality of not crumbling? We talked about this, about J.C. Latham's penalties and all the penalties that they faced 2 weeks ago. And they faced a lot of penalties again last week.
That was bad.
10 penalties last week. But they were able to overcome these penalties, and we have not been able to see this team in the last few years really overcome penalties. You get one penalty, drives over, it felt like. Now they've been able to show this maturity and growth to overcome penalties and earn that confidence of their coaching staff to maybe be more aggressive. Because to your point, it's all kind of based on the team, what you have, the personnel on the field, who you're up against, the feel of the game, and maybe there was a little bit of lack of confidence, or you guys have to show me for him to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, and that's what play is no different than, your child or, a relative. You have to prove to me that I should trust you. And so now they've shown that, so now we'll see how
it's like taking care of a dog. You have to take care of a fish before you buy your son a pet or your daughter a pet. Like you have to show that you keep a plan alive.
I don't know. Buck, you got it with your cat? You got an example? You trusted your cat from day one?
The cat, all I had to do was put it in the litter box. It was done. That was training a cat.
Cats are pretty easy.
Cats are smart.
Oh, man. Artie, I've never had a cat.
I got one for you if you want one.
Oh, no. I don't need a cat. I got no.
He's a cat dealer.
Yeah. You're a cat? What?
Oh, they pop up.
You attract cats?
I would say it's a personality type for sure.
Gotta love.
Look! See all these stray cats in Jags jerseys are walking.
Oh my! You said nice segue there.
Well, speaking of confidence, it's obvious that Cam Ward has confidence in Xavier Strepo. He got 6 targets on 18 offensive snaps.
Dang!
Which is a third of the offensive snaps.
I wonder what Van Jefferson's saying right now.
Yeah.
He played the whole entire game.
Now, there is no bets for over in yardage or receptions. There still isn't any time touchdown bet for Xavier Strepo. But when you talk about the confidence, how much does Xavier Strepo being on the field in certain situations help Cam Ward, and how much does it actually hurt Cam Ward in the offense because he's obviously zeroing in on one guy on a third of his offensive snaps?
I guess if numerically it says that he was going out of his way to get Restrepo involved, that's not something you want him to do. I do think, though, that in a situation where he's going to have plays that are just outside of structure, right? Like there are going to be some moments where the play breaks down and he has to make something happen. That Restrepo displayed an innate ability to be on the same page with him because they have done that 1,001 times, to their credit. It's going to be something that at least can give Cam Ward an additional opportunity to extend a drive to convert a third down, whatever it might be. Now, again, It's 2 of 6, right? He had 2 receptions. One was negated by a hold, so maybe he has 3, if you want to count that one. But on the whole, this is not some kind of revolutionary performance. This is not some kind of groundbreaking situation. If it can incrementally help him, great. If he starts to lean on it too much, I think, to your point, that can have an adverse effect. I don't want Xavier Restrepo being the person that the offense runs through.
I mean, how do you view that whole situation? Because, like I said, 6 targets, 18 snaps. I mean, how much of that is a hindrance to the offense, or do you think it's just that, hey, he feels comfortable throwing it to that guy, and sometimes that's just the way it needs to go?
Yeah, I'll probably lean to that a little bit more. I'm interested to see how much he plays this game. Because
Mason Kinsey.
He's not dressing, right?
It was 20 offensive snaps or 19 offensive snaps last week for Xavier Restrepo. It was somewhere in there. And so, yeah, I mean, can that – if without Kinsey didn't play much offense at all. I think he might have 1 or 2 offensive snaps last week. So it's not like he was taking anything from Mason Kinsey.
Right.
If he comes out there with about 18 to 20 snaps again, I feel like that's right. Especially with Iamaner out, I would expect with Iamaner up, I would expect less. Iamaner was out last week, which is obviously why they needed Prochet and Xavier Restrepo.
Is Bryce Oliver just done for the year?
Yeah.
What happened? He's done?
He's
on IR?
He's on injured reserve, and they waited a long, long time to put him on injured reserve, Blaine. I guess he had additional complications with the knee injury. Bones Fossil made it sound pretty severe.
Oh.
That's unfortunate.
It's so unfortunate. I hate it for him.
Oh, my. Yeah, hey, I think he's going to go to guys he's comfortable with and knows where they're at. And obviously he has a relationship with X. So
now can X build off his performance? You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about building off performances and all that kind of stuff. Is that, like, it wasn't great, but it was fine. But now it needs to be better. Like, if Xavier, depending on if Xavier Restrepo, how many snaps he gets.
If he plays a little bit more or somewhere there about, I would say he should improve.
But I also don't want I want Cam Ward to run the offense as it needs to be ran, not just to be looking for his.
Yeah, I don't want the backyard football.
Not saying
stuff.
That's
I
what
feel like
doing.
We were getting away from that, or at least we were growing.
Well, and also
I
would say that a lot of those are not sustainable plays week to week.
Correct.
More often than not, those backyard football plays end up in sacks, negative plays, turnovers, and stuff like that. You can't have an over reliance at this stage of the game on those plays. You're not Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Like, you're not that guy.
I want to see some on-time throws to him.
Yeah.
Let's see if can he create after the catch?
Because that's not what those 2 receptions were.
No, they were not.
And he's got to make contested catches, right? Like, I mean, he made 1 contested catch right at the goal line, but didn't get in at the in the end zone, which is fine.
He said
still advanced the play.
He said the ball bounced off the opposing player's helmet, and he thought he could come down with it.
The one in the end zone, though, that's the one I'm now talking about. But, like, he was also holding the guy's hand all the way down, which I thought was very cute, very precious.
Just security.
But, like, now it's the next step. Like, that's the thing for this team that I'm looking at every week is, do they take the next step? Do the players take the next step? Does the team take the next step? You can get as macro or micro as you want, but do these players take the next step? Because that's what you're going to be leaning into in a hopeful situation heading into next year, is that, hey, we saw progress each and every week from these young players.
Yeah, and that progress will lead to a victory.
Hopefully today.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. All right. Y'all want to do cover the spread, or do y'all want to do
You're running it.
All right.
You tell us.
Will the Tennessee Titans cover the 5.5-point spread?
Yep.
I'm going to say yes.
Yep.
No? Wow. That means I'm just wanting everybody to know I am picking them to win today. I'm going to go put some money on the money line for the Tennessee Titans.
Take Jags by a touchdown.
Oh, come on. Tennessee Titans are going to do it. I can feel it. Feel it in my bones.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's the cold.
The Cats are going to be cold and go inside to their
I cannot wait to get in the heat.
Buck should know this since he's a cat owner. Those Jaguar cats.
All right, that will do it for us. This has been the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. Lee Company, all you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. Titans radio coverage is produced by Joseph Bonanno, studio producer Justin Hawkins, studio host Lucas Panzica, promotions director Rich Ferris, director of sales Hunter Rice, general manager Allison Warren, operations manager Paul Mason, executive producer Rhett Bryan. For Blaine Bishop, for Buck Rising, I'm Zach Lyons. This has been the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff on 104.5 The Zone.